Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from TNJ, and welcome back to the Montreal Expos franchise. If you missed last episode, you missed a good one where we went through our second MLB draft of the series, and we had a very, very good draft. And now we get to reveal the ratings. We'll jump ahead a little bit. Luis Davila is going to be a generational prospect. 78 overall, a potential. You see the ratings here. He is amazing. An amazing hitter right now. He's got pretty good defense too. You know he's going to be good with 99 potential. And right now this looks amazing for the series, to be honest with you. And I'm glad he fell to number 3, fell right into our laps. Diego Guerrero, 94 potential, 68 overall. Very, very good value in the second round. I don't think we could have drafted a better player here. The hits per 9 at 76 is really, really high to start out. Like, he's going to be elite. Like, that's going to be up to like the upper 90s by the time he even reaches, like 80 overall. That could be way up there. Gregorio Camacho was our third round pick. As an 18-year-old, as a high B potential, this is excellent value in the third round. He has a 3-pitch repertoire, which is very unique for a starting pitcher, but I'll take it. Like, look at the walks per 9 at 67. Stamina is only 72. I would like that to be higher, but at 87 potential, I really cannot complain. I love those first 3 picks. And it gets probably even better with Carlos Samuels adding to the mix. I mean, we get 3 future starting caliber pitchers in our second draft, I should say, and guys that should be ready pretty quickly. I think Samuels will probably have the longest to develop, but still, Camacho is going to be ready after probably 1 year in the minors. I think that maybe Guerrero might be ready day 1 or a little bit of time in the minors. We'll see. Our last 2 picks, Todd Melendez ends up being 59 overall as a third baseman, and he looks like a pretty good hitter right now. His overall is probably a little lower because his fielding isn't the greatest, but he has good vision and good contact versus left and actually decent versus right. 51 is pretty good to start out, and he's going to develop too at 79 potential. That's pretty good. And then Esteban Ibarra, 79 potential. I mean, our floor in this draft was 79 potential, and we grabbed 2 young third basemen who we can develop, and Ibarra can play in the outfield as well. So I am very, very happy with this draft, and I think we had basically a complete 180 from season 1's draft. I am very, very excited. Diego Guerrero was my favorite player. I think he's going to be special. I think he's going to be the future ace of this team. So that really, really gets me excited for the series. So let's look around the rest of the league to see how they drafted as we look at other teams. There are a couple of guys that I was considering with the top 3 if it wasn't for Avila falling. I narrowed it down to the top 3, but Derek Levine was a guy that I was actually moving up the board, but I stopped scouting him once I realized that Avila was going to be a generational guy. I then narrowed it down to Joseph Norris and also Tom Swanson, who we'll check out in a little bit. Tom Cousins was a pretty good player in this draft. He is 20 years old as a pitcher and as a really good walks per 9 guy. But I thought to myself, we just drafted Gary Brooks last draft, and he was a very similar build. Val Ungerer, who went the pick before we selected, he ends up being really, really well-rounded, and he's MLB ready like pretty much right now. 75 overall, 87 potential. So the Rockies just need talent, and I think that was actually a pretty good selection. Yeah, they passed on Avila, but I still think Ungerer is going to be really, really good for them. They also picked up Roger Pinto late in the draft, who I was going to select at some point, but I actually think that the route that we went is actually a little better because I wanted some third basemen there in the 5th and 6th round, or at least some fielders or some hitters that could be better sooner rather than later, but I will take our last 2 picks, obviously. Matt Peters was a guy selected in the 3rd round at 91 potential. He's in his mid-50s overall, though. Jermaine Ward was a guy I was looking at. He was 18. He ends up being high B at 89 potential. Looking at the Yankees, they had a horrible draft. None of their potentials are higher than 70, which is insane. Efrain Copen, who I highlighted as a guy early on in the scouting process. Wow, his strikeouts per nine is a high 77. The Rays always seem to draft good in MLB The Show. I don't know what it is, but they always seem to have really good drafts. They drafted Adrian Rivera, who is a guy that is 73 overall right now, only 72 potential, but his ratings are really, really good. Looking at the Blue Jays, they drafted Jaime Ramirez, who I really, really wanted in this draft. I'm kind of disappointed we didn't get him because I thought this was going to be a very good developmental outfielder, very good speed. He is a very good fielder also, and his bat is going to develop into something that's really good eventually. Looking at the other teams around the MLB, I really, really liked Eno Hosa, who was drafted to the Cleveland Guardians with their first-round pick. I don't think I had a chance to get him, but I really liked him. David Song, I really liked. He was an 18-year-old, 73 only potential guy, but he looks like a very, very good defensive prospect, and he has good vision. I think he's going to be one of those guys that can contribute pretty soon rather than later, and especially at 18 years old, that's pretty good value, even if he's a low potential. Tom Swanson goes to pick after us, and he looks really good too. 67 overall. We wouldn't have went wrong if he would have fell to us. His fielding is atrocious though, and his contact versus right is pretty elite. Looking at the remaining teams here, not too much to go through, but I am very, very happy with our pick. Obviously, the number one pick in the draft was Joseph Norris. He looks very, very solid. 70 overall, A potential. We knew how good he was going to be, a plus fielder, very good speed to start out. Like, he's going to be very, very good for the Athletics. So even though they passed up on Avila, they get a really good one with Joseph Norris. So here we go after the drafts, and we're looking at the All-Star break. A lot of, I think, potential going into the future of this series. But right now at the MLB level, we have Augustus Macklin, who is leading our team in average right now. Well, at least like qualifying average. Cal Mitchell really has the highest average right now. Home runs, we are 27th in the league. And this was one of the things we wanted to address going into the offseason. I felt like we slugged terribly last year. We've improved, but I definitely want to see us get a lot better. We're 23rd in runs, and I think the reason why our record is kind of what it is because in a lot of these games, we are failing to produce runs. ERA is actually at 10th, so there's no, bad side to pitching right now. Obviously, we have some young pitchers, but our pitching really isn't the problem, and we're still rebuilding, so I'm not going to overreact. But the thing is, I do want to see us produce more runs, and I think it starts with finding guys, young guys to build around in the outfield. And I think that right now Cal Mitchell is one of those guys, but who else is going to be with Cal Mitchell? That's a big question mark. So going into the All-Star break, we have one guy that's getting a lot of votes, and that's Christian Walker. 553,000 votes here as a first baseman. Dairon Blanco is pretty close second, 367. Maybe that's not a close second, but he's getting votes in center field. I was really curious to see if Cal Mitchell was getting votes, and he's not getting many, even though his average is way above guys above him. I guess he's kind of just flying under the radar, and to me, he is going to be the biggest all-star snub this season from our team. We obviously know he's kind of an underdog with us. We kind of traded him and got him for peanuts, and he's having a really good year, and I'm excited for the outlook that he has in the outfield, and he has taken over for that left field starting job with the Expos. But here is the NL lineup. Christian Walker is our only all-star this year, and he comes off of the bench. We obviously know how good he's been. He's declining a little bit, but I'm not too worried about it, especially since we obviously have, guys getting better as he is getting he's at least declining at a very slow rate. I mean, he's going to decline. That was natural, but we'll see as he gets his second straight all-star nod. And he is going to come off the bench here late in the game, here in the bottom of the 8th inning, facing Felix Bautista on the mound as he faces him. A 3-1 pitch up in the zone, and that is going to be a ball 4. So that will be his only at bat here in the 8th inning. Very anticlimactic, to be honest with you, and not very exciting for our lone all-star. But the AL All-Stars end up winning this game 5-4. They get 12 hits to the NL's 10. It was a very close game, so a very good game to watch. So as we approach the trade deadline, I kind of want to get ahead of the actual deadline dates. And one thing I do want to do is start to get younger, start to get our older vets to teams that are competing for the playoffs. I want to, send them off correctly. And a couple of guys that do have some value, Zach McKinstry, who can play every position. That's pretty valuable in this game, especially seeing that guys are always played out of position, and he can play all of them. Tim Anderson, also a guy that can play second base, shortstop, and third. And I think he has still a lot left in the tank, to be honest with you, especially for a competing playoff team. Akil Baddoo actually has some trade value. We traded for him last year. I think he still has some potential that is untapped. That's the whole reason we traded for him. And then obviously Connor Joe and Travis Jankowski, 2 veterans. They could go to a situation and kind of be a bench bat or maybe even a spot starter, who knows, and come in and contribute. But those 2 guys are on the trade block as well. So I look at a couple of situations. The Yankees are an interesting one. They are ahead of the AL wildcard race right now. They are just behind first place in the AL East. They have a plethora of outfielders. Alex Verdugo, Ian Happ, Oswaldo Cabrera. They have Aaron Judge, obviously. They have Trent Grisham. Juan Soto signed with the A's in the offseason, so they don't have him, but they still have Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones. So that leaves a interesting outfielder who is just lagging behind, and that's Everson Pereira. Pereira in real life is their number 5 prospect in their organization, but look at him in MLB The Show. He is declining, going from a B potential down to a C potential, and he's still 23 years old and 72 overall. His defensive abilities are really good, but there's one big problem. We can't trade for him because he has a torn calf. The game will not allow you to acquire injured players, which is pretty devastating. So he was our number 1 target going into this trade deadline episode, and we have to pivot a little bit. So we go to the Rangers, who have won back-to-back championships here in the MLB. They won in real life in 2023, and they won here in 2024 in season number 1. And I look at them and see, what do they need? Well, everybody needs pitching and bullpen arms, and Jose Hernandez, who has not pitched an inning for us this season at the MLB level, is tearing it up at AAA. Last year, he was just unimpressive, and he had a slow spring training, and I just kind of forgot about him. And he's been killing it at the AAA level, which has resulted in him going up in potential to a B and still being very young and cheap at age 27. And I look at what the Rangers have, and they actually have everything, literally everything. The one thing that they do need, though, is a young bullpen arm. So I look at the prospects that they have, and I'm willing to just take a flyer on a couple of guys, starting with Dustin Harris. There's going to be pretty much no expectations for him coming in because I already pretty much know who my third baseman of the future is going to be, and that's Augustus Macklin. I pretty much know who my shortstop of the future is going to be, and that's Barger, at least right now. And then left field is Cal Mitchell. So all of his positions are really taken up at this point. So I guess it's just more of a flyer here that we will take on him. I look at their pitchers, though. They have a couple of interesting ones like Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, but I decide not to go after them because it would take a haul to get them. So a guy that probably wouldn't take too much to get is Cody Bradford. He is 27 years old. He's no longer a prospect per se, but a very good arm in the rotation. And seeing that Jamal Watson could be moving to the bullpen in the future, and maybe, I want to float it out there, could be our eventual closer. Cody Bradford is an interesting player. Now at AAA, he has 19 starts and 14 of them are quality starts. So I really think that maybe we can get some value out of him and acquire him as a 27-year-old who's still pretty young. So we decide to throw in Connor Joe. That doesn't really move the needle here for the Rangers. So then we see other guys that we can possibly throw in. Tim Anderson is here. Zach McKinstry is there. So I decide to throw in McKinstry and Connor Joe. And we will get Cody Bradford, who will be probably a good starting pitcher for us in the future, and Dustin Harris, a good infield prospect, and they will accept that deal. So we basically get rid of 3 veterans and bring in 2 younger guys. So that will be the first trade here at the, I guess I wouldn't say the deadline because we're still 2 weeks away. But one guy you guys have told me to take a look at is Jo Adell. Adell has been kind of disappointing in his career. I think there were a lot of people that were expecting him to kind of be ready for the pros a lot sooner, and every time he's gotten moved up, he hasn't been spectacular. But I like his ratings. He is very fast. He's got 99 speed. He's got a good arm, and he can play all the outfield positions. That gives us flexibility. And one thing that the Angels are doing right now are pushing for the playoffs. And I think one guy that could help them is German Marquez, who is really, really killing it for us. He's been under contract with us for the last 2 years. And I decided to throw in a little sweet bonus here and get Milt Kaiser in the trade. Milt Kaiser was a really, really low risk guy we signed in the offseason. He went undrafted, but he just hasn't worked out at AAA. He's struggling, and I don't see him getting much better than what he is. So we decided to make that trade and acquire Jo Adell to hopefully maybe pop with us. Kind of the same thing we did last year with Akil Baddoo. So we'll see if Baddoo or Jo Adell end up surprising us. So those are the first 2 trades we will make, and I'm not sure if we'll make any more. But right now, going into this episode, that will be it. Augustus Macklin has adjusted to being a third baseman, and I think that it's a pretty good transition for him. Like, he's been playing there for almost half the season, and I think that long-term Bill Hedger will probably be the first baseman of the future, and Christian Walker is there right now. I don't see any scenario where Christian Walker is traded or anything right now, so I think that moving Augustus Macklin full-time over to third base is the move. So now here we go into some gameplay where we check out Alexander Santiago, another one of our young pitching prospects, and he is a rookie this year. He hasn't been in the top 3 for Rookie of the Year because Augustus Macklin has been leading it, but he's been doing pretty well for us this year. So we start this game out in the bottom of the first game after the trade deadline. Here is Cal Mitchell swinging at a bad pitch, and that's how good of a hitter Cal Mitchell is. He has been hitting the ball extremely well. He just pokes his bat out there on a pitch way out of the zone, and he comes up with a single. He's just shrugging. He's like, well, I must be hot. When I'm hot, I'm hot. Christian Walker to the plate. He gets one up and in. He turns on this one. Deep fly ball to left center field. And that one is caught. But Christian Walker probably a millimeter away from that being a 2-run shot. Kyle Higashioka to the plate now, and he gets clunked on the back. So now we have runners on first and second with our Rookie of the Year leader here at the plate, and leads us an average. And he hits one hard to the right side. That one will be caught. And he leads us an average that is actually eligible for Rookie of the Year. So here's Santiago here facing Marco Luciano. He hits one well to left field. That one's gone. Luciano was acquired from the Giants, I believe, a couple of weeks ago. And he joins them and hits his first home run of the season. Here is Jo Adell making his debut here with the Expos. In his first AB, hits a single to left field. That will be a very good start for Adell with the Expos. With 99 speed, I figure he's probably going to score a lot of runs. If he can get on base, he's going to score a lot. Now, his steal is like extremely low. It's at like 7. So he gets on first base here, and a shot to the gap would probably score him. And he gets, in the next batter, Monasterio gets clunked. So now Adell over to second. That brings up Addison Barger to the plate. He hits one down the left field line. That one is fair. It will score 1. It hopefully will score 2 as Monasterio rounds third, heads home, and the throw is not in time. So a 2-run double here for Addison Barger, who is having a surprisingly really good year. I thought he would be good. Not this good. He's hitting around 280, I believe. Here is Tim Anderson. He swings at this one. That's a deep fly ball, and it's not coming back. Anderson with the 2-run shot, and his name has been in the trade rumors, and he makes it 4-1 here in front of the Montreal crowd. But a good start to this game, giving Alexander Santiago, our young pitcher, some run support. Here is Macklin here, officially transitioned over to third base. I wanted to show that one because he looks really good defensively as he makes plays that flash. So on to the bottom third now. Here is Adele. He swings at this one. Crushed into the second deck. Oh, just below it, but it's a home run. He absolutely tattoos that pitch. And it's 5-1. Joe Adele making an impression. 410 to left field. It had no doubt on that one. So now bottom four. Here is Tim Anderson, and he continues to swing the bat well in this series. He hits this one to the right center gap. That will be a stand-up double. And my thought after seeing Tim Anderson get 2 hits is that we have to get him to a situation that gives him an opportunity to go to the playoffs. Here is Dairon Blanco. He comes to the plate now, hits one well to right field. That one will get the runner over to third, and now we have a runner in scoring position. Already was in scoring position, but over to third, as that brings up Cal Mitchell to the plate. He swings through a fastball on the outside half of the plate, and he cannot make contact as that brings up Christian Walker, who excels at hitting versus lefties, by the way. He swings that one up, and that one will be strike 3. 2 straight strikeouts. Pretty rare seeing that from Cal Mitchell and also Walker. Ryan Reynolds to the plate here in the 6th inning. He gets a hold of this one deep to right center field, and that is gone. The lead is now down to 2 here late in this game as Reynolds hits his 17th. That went 468. That one was absolutely crushed. But that brings in Jamal Watson late in this game here in the top of the 7th. I have tried Watson in every single role. Here is a ground ball to left side and a great play from Macklin. Is this a sign of things to come from Macklin? Is he a potential Gold Glove third baseman? Because that's a Gold Glove play right there. Throwing from his backside and gets the runner with ease. Andy Rodriguez cannot keep up with the 99-mile-an-hour heater. I feel like Jamal Watson has added some velocity to his fastball as well. But now we move on to the top of the 8th inning. Here is Jared Triolo to the plate. He goes to opposite field. This one will get through. The throw from right field is in time, and he's safe at third. Joe Adele with the absolute missile to third, and I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if this is just MLB The Show just getting away with this, but clearly out, and for some reason the glove wasn't down on the runner. That brings up Leover Peguero, who hits one to right field. Adele comes up throwing, but he's not going to get a 99 speed runner this time, and it's going to be a 5-4 game. So with that, you know, we probably would have had runners on first and third here, and it would have been 3-5. But here comes Brian Reynolds. Should have been the third out of the inning right there, but it brings up Jonathan India, and you know what exactly is going to happen next. India 0 for 3 in the game, gets an inside pitch, turns on this one deep to left field, and it's gone. MLB The Show is hilarious for that. Joe Adele clearly had the man out at third, and then they somehow find a way for Pittsburgh to take the lead. So here is Mitchell now up in the bottom of the 8th inning. A big scenario here. Runners on first and second. A shot to the gap will probably tie this ball game up. And he hits a weak ground ball at the middle. India to second, on to first, and it's an inning-ending double play. And just like the script writers wrote it, we move on to the bottom of the 9th inning. Now it's a 10-5 game. Now Pittsburgh just starts to run away with it, and they end up winning this one off of that blunder of a call from the umpire that probably changed the trajectory of this game, and we lose this one 10-5. Watson actually gets credited with the loss in this one because those runs were all earned, and we actually end up getting swept by Pittsburgh coming off of the All-Star break, which is a pretty terrible sign going into the trade deadline, because once you start losing like that, I mean, you might as well start selling off players, but we'll see what happens. So coming off of that game, I really want to focus on Joe Adele, because Joe Adele really, really impressed me. I did not expect that type of power. I knew the speed was there. I knew the arm was there, but he really hit the ball hard that game. Here is Cody Bradford, who we also acquired in those couple of trades, and he will get the start on the mound here versus the Cubs, and he gives up a single to TJ Friedel, who switched rival teams in the NL Central. Seiya Suzuki comes to the plate now. He hits one well to left center. That one gets all the way to the wall. Cal Mitchell fields it, and it's already 1-0 here with the first two batters up to the plate. So Cody Bradford off to a pretty shaky start to start his Expos career, as he faces now Cody Bellinger at the plate. He hits one well to left field. This is Mitchell back at the wall, and it gets over his glove. And Bellinger round second. He thinks about it, but he will get an RBI double. And now it is 2-0 here. We do have 2 outs in this inning, though, as that brings up Dansby Swanson hitting .291, chopper to short. Barger fields it on to first, and it's going to be the 3rd out of the inning. But Cody Bradford gets hit pretty well in the first. So we move on to the bottom of the 2nd inning, and I wanted to focus on Joe Adell in this one. He's off to a pretty good start here with the Expos. 1-2 pitch over the middle of the plate. He hits this one well to right field. This one back at the track, and it is caught. Good contact on that one, though. Seiya Suzuki runs it down. So we move on to the bottom of the 6th inning. Joe Adell's 0 for 2 at this point, and he hits this one deep to left field, and it's gone. It felt like when we took that swing, we were very early, and somehow Adell gets enough of that one, and he powers it to left field for his 3rd home run of the season. And Adell is interesting. You know, we started him in right field. He is, I guess, by position, a left fielder, but I think he could transition to right field based on his arm talent alone. That brings him up for his 4th at bat. He hits one well to the left field line. That one is foul. But you can just see Adell is hitting the ball very, very solidly as he does swing through this slider on the outside half, and he will swing and miss. But there are some good things I see from Joe Adell, which give me hope for the future. I think that's what we're really looking for now in Season 2, looking for hope, because we had a good draft, and I want to make some good trades to acquire some good pieces. And I think Adell, at least early on, the initial signs are that he's going to be a pretty good signing. So I really, really like what we see from him. Coming out of that trade, we do get a trade offer, and it's an interesting one. The Brewers want to trade for Christian Walker, who we just signed in free agency to a 4-year, $60 million a year. But they want to trade their number 1 prospect in their organization, and Jacob Mierzorowski, who is actually a really good pitcher in the minors in real life. He's struggling right here, but I decided to decline that one. There's no way I'm trading Christian Walker, even if I'm getting a top pitching prospect. That means it's time for the September call-ups, and I think at this point we got to start evaluating some guys and seeing who is going to be, you know, the future of this rotation, the future of this outfield. I think we need to give Javier Assad another chance, so we're going to move him up before the September call-ups and see what he can do with some starts under his belt. But I really want to focus on Cal Mitchell, who is nearing the eligible at-bats to make him eligible for the batting title. So as he is hitting around 300, he's about 15 points short of Luis Arraez, who leads the NL. But here, he just is continuing to impress. Here he hits one down the left field line versus Luis Arraez and the Miami Marlins, and that will be a double in his 9th of the season. I'm wondering if his success this year is sustainable, but he looks really good. That brings up Christian Walker, who gets a hold of this one, and that's deep to left field, and that's gone. Walker has really, really proven that he is a very good hitter in this league. 2 straight All-Star appearances, and he gets his love with a 4-year, $60 million deal with the Expos. Here is Cal Mitchell again up here in the top of the 7th, so he does have a 2-hit day. And I really love his potential at the top of the lineup. I like him at 2. I just need somebody that can hit leadoff where Cal Mitchell can get some RBIs. But speaking of RBIs, how about Christian Walker? 2 home runs in this game, and I was mostly focused on Mitchell, and Walker just takes all of the shine away. 2 home runs today, and that makes it a comfortable lead here for the Montreal Expos. As we move on to the 9th inning, here is Augustus Macklin, and he wants to do it too. this time to opposite field into the upper deck stands, and it makes it 10-4. And we get a very good victory here on the road versus the Marlins. That's Macklin's 15th home run. And remember, it's important to keep up with Macklin because his production is going to be very, very important, because not only do we want him to win Rookie of the Year, he will get a ratings boost because of that, but he also will give us a draft pick in next year's draft, which is going to be very, very important when it comes to building this team. So we are nearing, the trade deadline, and as we start talking about September call-ups, I think we need to start talking about just the future of this team. We talked about it earlier with Tim Anderson. I saw him play, and I was like, man, I just think it would be unfair to keep him around. He's in a losing situation right now. I wouldn't say a losing, but a rebuilding situation. And I think it's just right to send him to a team that is in the middle of a playoff run or a playoff push. And that's what we're going to do. One team that really sticks out is the Brewers, because they have 2 injuries at shortstop, and Tim Anderson can immediately come in and play shortstop, because right now they have Jackson Cherio playing shortstop, and he's a natural outfielder, so that doesn't feel right. And looking at what they need, and that's exactly what fits. So I look at what we would realistically probably get for Tim Anderson at this point, and I think maybe a younger reliever is probably going to get the deal done. And I go after Ray Molina, who is a 23-year-old. He was actually drafted back in the 6th round by the Brewers in the last draft, and he is available here. They don't really seem to really have him valued too high, because there are guys that are at the MLB level right now that are above him. And since they drafted him in the 6th round, I feel like this is fair. So Tim Anderson for Ray Molina, we make the deal happen. We get a young reliever, and we add some more young talent to our organization. So that will do it for the trade deadline. Just looking around the league, some interesting names that got traded. Vinny Pasquantino went to the Cubs. We already know that TJ Friedel already got traded to the Cubs, so the Cubs are making a big push. Tyler O'Neill went to the Mets, and Brett Beatty, the longtime Met, goes to the Pirates. So that's an interesting trade. I'm surprised they would trade Brett Beatty after, a lifelong career with the Mets, but I guess it's just a video game. Josh Bell goes over to the Yankees. And then the big one, the Dodgers acquire Bo Bichette from the Blue Jays for top catching prospect Dalton Rushing. Just amazing. How do the Dodgers keep pulling off these big moves? So as we near, like I said, the month of August and the September call-ups, I want to start giving guys opportunities. And one guy that will get an opportunity based on the Tim Anderson trade is Jeter Downs. Now, I played him a lot last year. He wasn't super impressive, but he is still in his mid-20s, so I do want to give him an opportunity to show what he can do, so I'm going to move him up. And there's going to be a healthy competition between he and Monasterio, because right now, Barger is the starting shortstop, and there's no question. Augustus Macklin is a starting third baseman, so it's really that second base job that is up for grabs in the future. We tried Colton Wong there. He's obviously older. I want a younger guy there. Wong is still on the MLB roster, but hasn't played. He's pretty much just rotting on the bench, to be honest with you. I probably should DFA him, to be honest. But in the outfield, now it's Travis Jankowski and Joe Adell in right. No more Connor Joe. But I'm going to use Jankowski as a guy that can mentor Adell and kind of help him along in the process. And I think in center field, I think there's a big question mark around Dairon Blanco, because Blanco, while very fast, isn't very, very impressive. I think his speed is the one thing that's keeping him as the starting center fielder, because if you look at his OPS, very low. His on-base percentage isn't even 300. So I think we're going to be looking into that going into next episode and really seeing if there is a better option in the center field position for us, because I like Terrell Tatum. We acquired him in season 1, but the thing with Tatum is that I don't know if he's ready yet. Still 25 years old. He's having a decent season at AAA, but nothing that's going to be like, hey, I need to move him up now. But I think he might get his opportunity just to show what he can do versus MLB pitching. And I think that's probably going to be the move next episode. We'll probably be just looking at him and seeing what he can do. There are other guys that we could potentially move up to, but I think there's a big question mark in the outfield. Obviously, Cal Mitchell is the starting left fielder, but what about center field and right field? Akil Baddoo, I just have my doubts now after seeing the slow start after 121 at-bats, hitting below 200. I just don't like what I see there. Joe Adell is still a question mark. We just acquired him. And then Travis Jankowski is kind of the veteran in this outfield group. And I like what he can do, but he's definitely not the long-term starter. So I'm going to try some different lineups, like hitting Jankowski at the leadoff spot, seeing if we can produce more runs that way. And we'll see where it goes from there. So we'll get through the month of August and most of September in next episode. And then we will end the season and recap it in full, go into detail on different things and what I'm thinking in the offseason. But we are nearing the end of our second season. It's been very exciting. Let me know what you guys think of the trade deadline trades we made and what you think of the future outlook of this team. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. I appreciate the support in this series. It's been a lot of fun so far. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I hope the rain don't come in November, 'cause the summer went way too fast. I'm trying real hard to remember all of the good times.